Guys, and welcome back to my channel. And on today's video I want to talk about how to avoid the money mistakes that your parents make. Now, when we take a look at the lives of our parents, they assisted us a great deal. They did so much for us. And one thing that we can also see is that quite a lot of them, they made several mistakes, and we don't blame them for some of these mistakes, because most of the mistakes they made, they were not aware. They were not aware of this, so it was not something that they did intentionally. But you see, if you're not going to get caught up in same mistakes, then there are certain things that you need to know. Okay, there are certain things that you need to know to avoid such mistakes. So I'm going to be addressing some of these here. Now, if this is your first time coming to this channel, my name is Franklin from Money Code Academy, and subscribe if this is your first time. If you are interested in topics like financial freedom, finances, and all that, just click on the notification bell so that the next time I post a new video, you'll be the first to see it. Now, let's get right into this. The first thing you have to do if you truly want to avoid the mistakes of your parents, the money mistakes of your parents, is that you've got to identify the mistakes that they made. Most of the time, as children, we don't observe, we don't look deep into some of these things. But if you truly want to avoid the mistakes that they make, then you've got to observe their life. You've got to identify those mistakes that they make. You get the point now? Now, you're doing this will go a very long way to help you know the area that they made the mistake, so that you don't walk in that path. A lot of times, if you are able to look deep enough, you will know that, okay, this is one of the mistakes that you get the point. And so that's something that you really need to work on. Identify the mistakes that so that you can work on it. The second thing that you need to work on here is that you have to go for financial education. Let me tell you the truth. Until and unless you begin to expose yourself to financial education, you will never know truly the mistake that your parents. There are certain things that they've done that looks normal. For example, in my own case, it was until I began to expose myself to financial education, that was when I realized some of the mistakes that my parents made. Before I began to expose myself to financial education, it was just normal. I mean, it was just one of those things. I mean, some of the things that they did. But when I began to expose myself to financial education, I realized that there were some of the things that they did that they shouldn't have done. But because they were not financially educated, that was why they made that mistake. In the same way, my friend, if you truly want to avoid the mistakes of your parents, the money mistakes of your parents, then this is something that you need to work on a more serious note. You need to expose yourself to financial education, which means you need to make a conscious decision to invest your time. It begins from there. Invest your time in learning about money, about how to handle money, learning about how money flows, learning about how money is being generated. Until and unless you learn these things, you are not going to be any different from your parents. Sorry to say that, but you get the point now. So invest your time, invest resources to learn about money, to learn about these things. They are so important. Until and unless you give yourself to financial education, I am telling you, you will never be able to walk in a different path. So that's something that you need to work on. Now, another thing that you need to work on, if you truly want to avoid the mistakes of your parents, is that you have to execute the things that you have learned. It is not enough for you to learn. It's not enough for you to acquire knowledge. What makes knowledge impactful is when you apply it. Applied knowledge is where the power lies. So you've got to make that decision that you will execute the things that you have learned. You get the point now? And most importantly, as you execute those things, there are some things that you may not get right at the first time, but just because you have the willingness to execute those things, when you execute and it didn't work the way it's supposed to work, then you can tweak things around and work it out. But most importantly, make sure that you are executing the things that you have learned. I'm telling you, if you will go for financial education and execute the things that you have learned, you will not make the same money mistakes that they. Now, I believe that you've gotten value from this very video. If you've done that, Leave me a comment. Let me know your biggest takeaway. Remember, if you're going to walk a different path, then you must acquire the knowledge that they didn't have. It is as simple as that. Okay, so drop me a comment. Let me know your biggest takeaway. Don't forget to share the video with your friends and loved ones. And if you haven't subscribed, don't wait any longer. Subscribe to this very channel and click on the notification bell so that the next time I post a new video, you will be the first to receive that video. And don't forget to take advantage of my free course, The Power of Financial Education. I believe that financial education will do a lot in your life if you give it the right attention. Okay, so I'll just put the link below. Give it a shot and see what financial education is for you. Until I speak to you again, keep cracking the money.